Zettelkasten, the node. Hello everyone, my name is Al Person. You can contact me at pastor@mascot.church, which happens to be my email address, or in the comments below. You know how this goes, like, share, subscribe, all of that. Sometimes forget to say that when I do a video, but hey, that's just life. Well, today we're going to talk a little more about the topic of Zettelkasten. The word Zettelkasten means slip or card in a box. So here is my box of Zettels, and you can see the most recent one is at the front, and it's dated and keyed and so on. They're handwritten cards. Now, the Zettelkasten approach is something I've talked about. Sorry I didn't make a video last week. It was a very, very busy week. The Zettelkasten approach uses cards that are organized in a way that is node-based. That is, a single point links the cards around, and the cards then can be linked to one another. It looks like a node. Remember the image that you saw when I opened the system here, the thumbnail here shows items arranged as nodes. Now, the Zettelkasten approach does not use hierarchical or categorized notes like you might use in a notebook. You might say, well, here's all my notes about how to use the accounting system, and here's all my notes about what to do when the car won't start, or whatever, and you might put them in steps. The Zettelkasten approach doesn't really work that way, and it's not for that purpose. It's not really a time management tool, and it's not really designed for step-by-step work, although I use it by pulling my Zettels out, putting them in order, saying these are the things that I need to do. Now, I've only been at this for a few months, but within days of starting, I noticed a change in my own thought processes. My mind became less cluttered because I could take those things that were occupying my mind, that were trying to be formed into kind of a node thing, and I could put them somewhere in the same way that my mind works, and I could refer to them later. See, the human brain works that way. It works with associations. It works by taking a node point and growing around that point and then joining things together. In fact, the internet works that way, and probably it's one of the reasons why the internet has grown so well and so effectively. It works like people think. There are nodes of information, and those nodes then connect to other nodes and so on, and they become useful in building our overall knowledge base. Now, the Zettelkasten approach is really kind of a paper or software way of doing the same thing, but just for our own minds. And it's very, very effective. On my earlier videos, you follow through, you note, we talk about the fact that it helps you think and so on and so forth. I'm not going to redo that today. Now, the Zettelkasten approach was originated by Niklas Luhmann, who was German in the last century, and he actually rejected the idea of categorizing Zettels. He said, you don't categorize your cards, you work around nodes, around the central point, and then you connect everything out like that. Now, I think this has been a bit of a revelation to me because as I've gone over my Zettels, I've realized that categorization doesn't work very well. I did a video a little while ago where I talked about some of the misery of categorization, but I didn't realize just what the implications were. The other thing about the Zettelkasten approach is that there is no hierarchy. You don't have one note or one Zettel that is more important than the other. Yes, a bridging note or a bridging Zettel seems to have more influence, but really it's not above the others. It just joins all these thoughts together that you have had. Now, Niklas Luhmann apparently never had a problem with writer's block. Whenever he wrote many books, I think double digits in books, and when he got to a point where he needed some information, he'd go back to his Zettels, rejoin, and away he was going again. And I have noticed that this process definitely helps you over some of those blocks that you get. Now, what this means is that notes that you collect should not be, what shall I say, they shouldn't be orphaned. They should be joined to a node or to other nodes as fast as possible, okay, as fast as possible. Now, you can then use those things, those notes to grow and to further knowledge. I've got a bridging, we call those nodes bridging notes. I've got a bridging note here on a topic that I do not like at all, but I have to learn. Let's see if I can dig this one up here. I like that topic. And there's something coming. Document formatting. Now, this is empty just for the moment. I just don't like it. I write a lot, write technically and write for work and write whatever. But to finish a book and do other things, I need to learn how that works. Tables of contents, indexes, references. I just don't like it. But I have to do it. I think it was Mike Tyson who said, or maybe it was John Cleese, I don't know, one of those guys said, willpower is doing the thing that you hate to do with all your might, or as if you loved it, or something like that, right? Like this, yeah. Well, this will be very, very useful because as I study this topic, the Zettels will start to grow, and maybe I'll develop an interest in it. I'll let you know if I do. Well, I am actually working on putting together information on another book, and I realized when I went through my Zettels the other day that I've referenced the topic on a lot of those Zettels frequently, actually very frequently. Excuse me. And it made me realize that I don't have a bridging note, so I just created one today. Here is one of those topics that probably will be converted to a cardboard card at a later time. And so I'm going to actually change that and do that. Let me just do something on my machine for a moment. And I had to cough, right? So you can pause your machine. Go away and do that, okay? So I've got this card, and this is an orphaned Zettel. I was reading it, I thought, this would be really useful. I did a bad thing when I wrote this. I didn't actually key the reference topic on the bottom. So I'm going to do that now. The topic is SHAL. Doesn't really matter what that is for the moment. But I have a book bridging note here that is unpopulated on that topic. What am I going to do? I'm going to write the key, which is the unique date along the top, on my bridging note, and I'm going to node this, okay? I don't want this to be an orphan anymore. So that is, and the order here doesn't necessarily matter, but it might, I don't know. 20220802, and I think there was a G. It was very productive that day. G. And just put a little tag there, and there I go. So now the reference to Philip, okay, in my book is findable, if you will, here. I'm now going to go through all of my Zettels, and even those that, whether they're tagged or not, and be sure that they're referenced on this node. I think you know what I'm talking about, okay? Now I don't have a hierarchy. This node is not more important than this note. Okay, you got that? This node isn't superior, it's not above, it's not whatever, than the note, no. This node is simply a way of referencing all of these others. Now, what you could actually do, and I might even get that far, and others have done it, is if this card here is referencing an other node, then I'll put a reference on this to the other. The other node, certainly I'll put a reference there. What this does is this joins all these things together so you can come and say, I've got it, I understand. Because you see, this little nugget of information might apply to something beyond my book. Now, it will apply to a public talk I might give, but I don't know where. However, you might just pick on something and say, this will change my life. What have you done? You've taken that thing that has cluttered your mind, you've put it down in a way that you can use it. Let's just see what else I've got on my notes for you today. First of all, my time, I'm not doing too bad. So Nicholas Luhrmann did not like categories. He rejected categories in favor of nodes, and I completely agree with him. We're building an interconnected web of information rather than a set of blocks, just like the internet works, okay? It's important then to realize that because of the structure of your Zettelkasten web, you're not really building a task management tool. You're not really building a diary tool, something that you use to keep track of or record appointments or so on. It's not really for that purpose. It's not primitive. It's just not the way your mind works. That's a sequential tool. So we're not saying throw your diaries away. We're saying these things have different purposes. What I'm saying is use your diary to organize those things, but don't use your diary to organize your thoughts because you will be very disappointed. However, when I travel, I will use my diary. I have a page called Zettels where I'll put Zettelkasten thoughts. And then at the end of the day or the week, whatever, I'll turn them into cards if they're valuable. Sometimes along the way, they certainly are. Now, the advantage of doing things from a node perspective is that it will continue to grow. If it's a hierarchy, let's say you took a topic that was like world global accounting standards. I couldn't think of anything that interests me less, but I probably should know it, right? And you put that in a hierarchical note, you say, well, there's nothing superior to that. There's nothing above that. That might be true if you're studying just accounting, who knows? The Zettel approach wouldn't put the title World Accounting Standards at the top, it would put it in the center. And it would join all those things, so then you could link your center node to other bridging nodes. I hope I'm making this clear. Once this begins to start working, you begin to realize that your world is not what it used to be. It's broader. It's got a greater depth. You understand things in a deeper way. It's a fascinating topic. I think it's time for me to end. We've talked today about Zettelkasten, the node. And I'll put that slide back up and I'll say, hey, look, if this is useful to you, send it along to somebody. Let me know if my approach could improve or if there's something you want me to dig a little deeper in. Make a comment, whatever. All the best. My name is Al Person. God bless you. We will see you again soon.